Richie African Folklore is co-produced, directed, and performed by a husband and wife team comprised of Nigerian-born Addison Tutu Harold and music scholar Don Harold. Tutu, a graduate of Crown College London, England, is an extraordinarily talented musician, dancer, singer, and storyteller, who shares the rich cultural heritage of her ancestry with love that knows no boundaries. Don, who holds a Master of Arts degree in African Studies from UCLA, has completed additional studies at the Institute of African Studies at the University of Ghana, believes that the usefulness of the arts as tools in positive social change.
Now with us, we have Mr. Don Harold and Ms. Tutu Harold. Or Richie.
Thank you.
No music, and there were no drums, but there was sound. And in those days, people would gather to witness the rising sun. As the sun rose in the morning sky, they made sounds that also rose in crescendo to greet it. In time, they learned to cup their hands and to beat their mouths and give this sound rhythm, kind of like this. Whoa, 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 whoa. Let's try it, everyone. Come on. And when the sun came into full view, they would cease this wordless singing and disband, only to meet again at the next rising sun. Now this practice has gone on for time immemorial, and it continues to this very day. When people learned to keep animals to meet some of their needs, and use were found for the skins or hides that we used to make drums, they were pegged to the ground, then they were stretched to dry. And to check on them as the afternoon wore on, 4 men with long whips would take turns rhythmically beating them as they circled in counterclockwise direction. These were the forebearers of all musicians and all drummers who were called the Alawos. Can you say Alawo?
Alawo.
One day, one of the Alawo was on his way to the next village to visit his family. As he traveled along the lonely footpath that joined town to town and village to village, he heard a voice. The voice said, "Alawo, wah!" which meant Skinbeater come. The man turned around, but he didn't see anyone, so he walked on. Then the voice said, "Alawo, Paduwa, Skinbeater, come back." So the man walked back, and from a tree that strangely grew along this path, he heard a voice, and it said, "Alawo, I am the spirit of music. There's a hollow in the tree, and that's where I live. Please cut it down so that I can escape. And I promise I'll teach you how to make something that can be understood by all humankind." Now this was important then as it is today. So the man quickly took his machete and he cut the tree down, and true to his word, according to legend, the spirit of music first appeared and taught the man how to make the very first musical instrument. As you might imagine, it was a drum. Yes, now the spirit of music showed the man how to cut the tree into segments like this, right from his knee to his heel. It showed him how to further hollow out the section of tree, how to attach some of the skin or hide. And then the spirit of music showed the man how to make sounds with this curious looking thing, especially those that imitated the human voice. But they told him, as I tell you today, from now on you must call yourself, can you say Onilu?
Onilu.
That's the Yoruba word for drummer. And the spirit of music went further to say to the first drummer, who by the way we call Baba Onilu, father of the drum. When you play your drum, think of your song and I will sing it for you. When people hear it, they'll come together as one. They'll learn new important things, and they will be made better prepared to stand the test of time. And so when Baba got back to his village, he played the drum for the first time. I can imagine it sounded a bit like this. Guess what happened, kids?
People dance.
People dance for the very first time.
Dance of unity, togetherness, and happiness.
This ends our drum sermon and begins our show. Can everyone please say Ashe?
Ashe.
Welcome to Drum Sermons, Folk Tales, Legends, myths from the far corners of Africa. We are Orishi Rishi. Good morning.
Good morning. Can everyone say Ekaro? Ekaro. Ekaro means good morning. In the African language called Yoruba. Can you say Yoruba? Yoruba. Yoruba is spoken in the African country called Nigeria. Can you say Nigeria?
Nigeria.
Nigeria is in West Africa. Remember that Africa is a very huge continent and it has so many countries in it. 54 countries in the continent of Africa. And Nigeria, my country, happens to be the largest, not in landmass, but in population, which means the number of people that live in a given country. The reason being that 1 out of every 5 Africans lives in Nigeria. We also speak so many languages there. Approximately 500 languages are spoken in Nigeria, 1,000 dialects, and English is also the official language. So I'm going to teach you all how to say greetings in the 3 major languages that are most often used in Nigeria. And the languages are, please repeat after me. Everyone say Yoruba,
Yoruba,
Igbo,
Igbo,
Hausa,
Hausa.
In Yoruba, you are going to learn to say Ekason.
Ekason.
Ekason means good afternoon. Now in Igbo, you are going to learn to say Ndewenu.
Ndewenu.
Ndewenu means how are you? Now in Hausa, you are also going to learn to say Senude Suwa.
Senude Suwa.
Senude Suwa simply means welcome. So, this is Mr. Don and I'm Miss Tutu. Together we are called Orishirishi. Can everyone say that, please?
Orishirishi.
Orishirishi means different things. Thank you.
That's what Ms. Tutu and I have great pleasure of sharing. Different things from Africa and her country, Nigeria, like music, dance, stories, games. We always have fun the African way. And it gives us great pleasure to have been invited here at Lake Jim Elementary School by one of our dear friends, Mr. Abdias Casillas. Give him a round of applause. This is a celebration of Black history. It's really an honor to be a part of this celebration, because this year, 2019, is being acknowledged and it's being recognized and celebrated in many regards as the 400th year since the first Africans came to these shores. Long before it was called the United States, it was but a British colony, a place called Fort Comfort, the Virginia colony that was later to be called the state of Virginia. And then these 19-odd souls made it their way to Jamestown. They became indentured servants, and some actually were enslaved. This began 200 years of chattel slavery in this United States. And before it was all over, there were approximately 400,000 Africans enslaved shipped from Africa in places like Ms. Tutu's Nigeria and surroundings, and they made their way to the United States. Now, out of those 400,000 people, over time came 10 million people today who identify themselves as African American. So this is a celebration of resolve to survive and even thrive. So let's give the whole Black History Month community at this school we're going to recreate African tradition, first of all, right now, by reminding everyone that in Africa, everyone becomes a part of the musical occasion. And with this in mind, we want you to help us sing one of our favorite songs, a song that says, "May we all have peace and good health. May it be so, may it be so." The song is called Puma Alafia, and it's in 2 parts, call and response, a fun-filled African musical practice. This morning, my beautiful wife, Ms. Ilebelu Adetutu Elegbedion, has a great pleasure of making the call. Give her a rousing round of applause.
Puma Alafia, and your response is going to be Ashe, Ashe. Are you guys ready to learn it?
Yeah.
All right, let's go. Puma Alafia,
Ashe, Ashe.
Good. Puma Alafia, oh.
Ashe, Ashe.
Puma Alafia,
Ashe, Ashe.
Puma Alafia,
Ashe, Ashe.
So we're going to do it 2 times. After the second time, I am going to say, everybody dance. When you hear that, everybody in the room will get up and get their groove on.
Hey, let's make it interesting. Let's have a dance contest. Kids versus the parents and the teachers. This is one of the few times that a teacher, one single teacher, won the contest all right.
They're competitive.
But I got an honorable mention.
She did a good job.
She did a great job. She was flossing. Y'all want to see Grandpa floss? Your granddad didn't try to floss. At least I'm trying. Hey, you know what? This kid is the smoothest dancer I've seen in a long time. What's your name? Malik. That was armor, man. Are you guys ready to have some more fun? Yeah! Great. And you know, one of the most fun-filled African storytelling traditions is the storytelling tradition. and we'd like to recreate it. Normally, the stories are told at night, so help us set the mood. Everyone use your imagination and say, and do this. Moonlight story.
Moonlight story.
Now, for thousands and thousands of years, the children of Africa have sat at the feet of their elders, just like you're seated here this morning, listening to stories in the mystical light of the moon. Stories that came before modern science, explaining things like why things are as they are. And also teaching lessons like right from wrong, how to be a good friend, how to respect yourself and others, and especially how to respect our elders. We have one such story we'd like to share this morning. It's a story about two animals who were best friends. These two BFFs in English are known as dog and turtle.
Now I'm going to tell you what they are called in Yoruba. Can everyone please say Aja? Aja. Ati. Ati. Ijapa. Ijapa. We are also going to learn how to say it in Spanish. So everyone please say Pero. Pero. Y Tortuga. Thank you.
The storytellers in Africa never tell stories unless everyone's ready. To show the storytellers you're ready, everyone has to be absolutely quiet. You have to be absolutely still. And all eyes have to be on the storyteller. Now then and only then will the storyteller say, hello, which means, are you ready for the story? If you are, you have to say and do this.
No.
That means bring the story down. In order to be ready for the story, you know you got to be ready to grow. Right? Here goes. Hello.
Hello.
Once upon a time, in animal land, there was no food. The animals began to suffer, and they suffered so much that they became selfish. And they started thinking only of themselves. All except one. One animal. That animal was dog. When there was trouble, dog thought about his mother, and he placed her in heaven. When he went to a special spot and sang a magical song, something would happen. Please, everyone, help us sing dog song.
This is your response. Can everyone say, Alu John John Si John? You're going to clap your hands at the same time. So let's practice. Everybody say, Alu John John Si John. Ya ya jo to si leo. Alu John John Si. Go go kopa ye ye reje. Alu John John Si. Ajamu tire ororu.
When Dog's mother heard those words, she would drop a long magical rope down from heaven. Dog would climb that rope, and when he reached heaven, his favorite food was always waiting on him. He would eat, he would give his mother a hug, then he'd give her a goodbye kiss, and climb the rope back down to animal land. This went on for a long, long time until one day, Dog's best friend, he jocked Father Turtle, got wise. Turtle said, "Now wait 1 minute. There's no food in this forest. All the animals are getting smaller and weaker except for the dog. He's getting bigger, he's getting stronger every day. I'm going to find out the secret." And sure enough, the next day before the dog could leave home, Turtle hid in the bushes near his house to watch his every move. The dog went to that magical spot. Turtle was watching. The dog looked up to heaven and sang,
Iya iya jo ko si leo. Alu John. Iya iya jo ko si leo. Alu John. Go go kopa ye ye reje. Alu John. Ajamu tire ororu. Alu John.
When Dog's mother heard the words, she dropped the long magical rope as before. Dog again climbed the rope, and when he reached heaven, his favorite food was waiting on him as always. Now he ate as before. He gave his mother the hug and the goodbye kiss, and then he climbed the rope back down to the animal land. But this time, as soon as that dog touched the ground, Turtle said, I know that dog's secret. I'm going to trick that dog. And sure enough, the next day, before the dog leave home, Turtle slipped into his house and tied him down. He disguised himself as dog, and he went to that magical spot, and he tried to disguise his voice, but Turtle sounds like this.
We all going to sing like the turtle.
Now you know. Every mother knows her child. Wait. Dog's mother said, now that doesn't sound like my boy Dog. Then she thought, maybe he has a cold. And so she dropped the long magical rope anyway. But time coming, time going, still no dog, because turtles are very, very slow. Meanwhile, that turtle was still at the very bottom of the rope. Finally, Dog's mother said, Dog should have been here by now. Let me look down and see what's going on. And she went over to the edge of heaven, took one look at Turtle trying to disguise himself as Dog. And she knew that was not her child, because every mother knows their child. Dog's mother released the rope, and down the naughty turtle fell until he hit the ground. And that, dear folks, is why all turtles have cracked backs until this very day. He did. All right, guys. So now we know why turtles have those little squiggly lines in their backs. But in addition, of course, a good story is never over until the lesson is learned. The lesson we learn while listening, reading, watching a story is called the what? Moral. What does the story teach us? Yes.
Never be selfish.
Never be selfish. Give the man a round of applause. What else does the story teach us? Many layers of understanding in this particular story. We got several morals. Yes. Always be who?
Yourself.
What else does the story teach us? Yes.
Lying can get you in trouble.
Yes, lying, cheating, stealing, all of that. Don't do that. Be straightforward in your business deal. In fact, if they were best friends and he wanted some of Dog's food, what should he have done? Ask him to be given. Give him that. And finally, this story reminds us, Mr. Two, that we should always love, we should always honor, and we should always give respect to our elders. Clap for yourselves. Yeah. Wow, you know, because of your size, your age, and your intellect, we're going to give you an opportunity to ask a couple of questions, then we're going to talk about the music of Africa as it evolved. After, you remember I told you about there were only about 20 Africans who came here 400 years ago, enslaved. That was in August of 1619, and that began the exodus of another 400,000 Africans to what we now call the United States. That 400,000 became today what we record as 10 million people, all who identify themselves as African American. Questions about Black History Month, Ms. Tutu's personal life, trust me, she has a very, very interesting life. So, any questions?
I got one.
Yes.
So is your outfit authentic?
Yes, it is. It is. Yes, I made it. I made it and I made mine, yeah.
I need to see you.
I heard that. That's the way I felt, man. When I saw, as soon as I saw, I said, I need to come here. Let me holler at you.
What's your
Yes. Your question was what?
What are those necklaces?
Oh, the necklace. This one is from, I think they brought from Africa. Then you can find them here too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jewelry, very important.
Yeah.
So, this is embellishment, this is something to a brown outfit. Yes?
For me, I have age. Guess what? I'm the baby.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
I'm one of 6. Yeah, from 7 to 6.
We have twins.
Any other question? Yes?
Ms. Tutu mentioned that there are over 500 languages, I believe.
Yes, approximately.
Okay. About how many do you speak?
I used to speak 5. You
Okay.
know, when you don't use it all the time, you lose.
Yeah, that's right.
Even the one I'm using right now, one day my sister called. She was speaking in our parents' language, and she told me to say that. I said, oh, I forgot. Then when she hung up, then I remembered it about 2 days later. You know, yeah. So if you don't use it very often, yeah, you will lose it. So thank God I'm doing what I'm doing right now. I will forget this one too. Yeah, very easy, very easy. Yeah. I used to speak 5. Yeah. Now I remember maybe 3. I can speak Hausa, I can speak Igbo, I can speak Yoruba, I can speak Edo language, you know, and Urhobo.
And by the way, the Edo language is the language of the Benin. And Miss Tutu's actually, her ancestry is Benin. So she's actually from Benin culture, which was really popularized very recently in a movie that called the what? Black. It's pretty much based on Benin culture.
That story is just perfect. I watched it 3 times, so go see it again. And they're doing the second one now.
Yes. So, another question over here? Yes. This drum? What did you say?
What is it for?
This drum?
This one is from Ghana, the country.
You said where it's from, or what is it for?
What is it for?
Well, here's a good question. Drums are made for music making. And one of the things that is interesting about people of African descent, whether they live in Africa or in Orlando or in the Caribbean or in Puerto Rico or in Brazil, that their lives are really steeped in rhythm, which they respond to. So, and the drum is one of many different instruments used, but it epitomizes the rhythm of Africa, which is very important to the music making. I'll elaborate on that a bit when we talk about instruments, okay? Any other things? Yes.
Drums that people use in bands also made in Africa?
No, they're not. But I can tell you a little story about that. I started out because of a music teacher, and it's when I was in the 3rd grade. And I learned to play the little sticks and the little drum pad with the little rudimental drumming. And all through middle school, high school, I played in the band. It was when the band conductor wasn't watching, or when we were jamming behind the band room, that I realized that we were playing African rhythms, that we didn't even know anything about Africa. They was just things that was in our head. We was just making them up. So later, when I became a young adult, my wife said there's no such thing as a young adult, whether you're a kid or an adult. But I started using what I had done for many years to, play African instruments. But yes, so you can take the same fundamentals and adapt them. And if you're from a culture that's steeped in African music, like the culture, then you will naturally play African rhythms. And that's everybody who lives in the United States, because it's all around us all of the time. It's just your life. That's who you are. It has nothing to do with race or ethnicity. It's just a part of who we are as Americans. Yes. Yes. Yeah, they all have symbols. They're symbols that have meaning. Sometimes they're symbols of different things. Their symbol here, this drum was from Ghana, and you see some Adinkra symbols here. Several Adinkra symbols. And they have meaning. It's like an Adinkra is a symbol that stands for a proverb or a belief system, something you want people to remember about how to live your life. Yes? Huh?
No,
I wish. Well, we can speak on Creole because that is an African language. It's Africanization of the French language, which is very interesting. And there's a lot of important things about Creole culture that is important to who we are as Americans as well. For instance, the first successful slave rebellion was in Haiti, right?
Yes.
Sunday Overture. Not for that. I mean, what that led to was, because when the word got out that, hey, there's some African people over in Haiti that freed themselves, that idea became very popular here in the United States, and starting in South Carolina with some rebellions, the Stonewall Rebellion, the Gable Process Rebellion, and on and on and on until Nat Turner. And that's the reason that slavery stopped in the United States, I would argue, was because of the successful slavery vote in Haiti. Yes. So there's a connection. Yes.
Wait.
I can't tell you my age, man. I'm getting like, you know how ladies never ask a lady his age? I'm getting like that now that I'm a great grandpa. Now, I'm not a great grandpa yet. And hopefully that's way off, right? It's got to be way off. My grandchild's only 12, 13. Come on now.
We have 2 wardrobes. She's asking if everybody there is. Yeah, we're so blessed. We have 2 wardrobes in Nigeria. We have the Western clothing. Although everybody wears uniform to go to school. Everybody wears uniform to go to school. Except when you go to college and you start wearing.
Let's talk about the instruments. This is a djembe drum from the Senegambia region of West Africa. That's a part of West Africa just below the Great Sahara Desert. So go to a map when you get back to your room or when you have time or when you get on the internet and look at Africa, the west coast of Africa, where most modern African Americans actually descend from. Start doing your DNA and you'll find that out. But this is from the Senegambia region where there's really hot rhythm and elongated motion. It's another djembe, part of the djembe family. This is called juju. Can everyone say juju? Juju. This is from Miss Tutu's country, and it's a frame drum. I love it. It has a real big sound, though it's a very little instrument.
Shekere. Can everyone say that, please?
Shekere.
Yes. I made it. It's very easy to make. All you have to do is go to Walmart or Kmart and get the seed. You may not believe this. This gourd is one of the gourds that I grew in my backyard when I used to live in South Carolina. I didn't know it was going to be this big. Then you go to the same stores and get your rope and the bead, and you just tie them together. You make it. A simple one there, then you tie them, It's very easy.
Yeah. Spend $10 and make something that you can sell for $200. While you watch it, this is a bata drum. It's a 3-in-1. It's called Imela Meta. Can you say that? Imela Meta. It's played with strips of hide, which I need to make some more. I'm going to make some more from the hat I have. Play like this.
And this one is called Agogo. Can everybody say that, please? Agogo. Hey, Macarena. Yeah.
Yeah. Here's a bit of history for you for Black History Month. All humankind, according to scientists, came out of Africa over thousands and thousands and tens of thousands of years. And there was even transmigration around the continent of Africa. And transmigration is the movement of people from one place to another. And the way you can actually chart it is the technology, the ability to make iron. Because iron lasts a long time. You can find out that like 5,000 years ago, some people came from this part of Africa. They came over here and they made things of iron. So this, for a researcher, the iron, the ability to make things out of iron was very important to learning about Africa. This is a bilophone. The thing I want to make, this is a bilophone. It's a tuned idiophone.
I'm going to drop one of the sticks.
It's a tuned idiophone. Idiophone is a sound-producing instrument. And it has keys of fixed pitch. The keys are in a pentatonic scale. Can you say pentatonic?
Pentatonic.
Pentatonic is a scale system that has 5 notes. Our Western scale system has how many notes? 7. Who said that?
Me.
All right, 7. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, right? Right, so, but African people, even the 20 who came in 1619, came from a society that was pentatonic. So what they hear in their minds is 5 notes in the scale like this. Right? You start another one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Now, there's a music that we all enjoy today called gospel music. That was based upon a music that it evolved from called spirituals, the Negro spirituals. And the spirituals is the root music for African American people, and it is based upon a 5-note scale. You can play almost any spiritual with 5 notes. In fact, the next time you see a piano, just look at the black keys. Those black keys, you could play most any Negro spiritual with the 5 notes that are in the 5 key, right? And that is because of that. So, xylophone. I don't have time, so I won't play it for you today. And the next instrument, the last one, is a quarterphone. It is a...
It's called ngoni.
It's called ngoni. It's a precursor to the banjo, which, if you were a researcher of African culture back from the 1600s to the 1700s and 1800s, you would see many mentions of enslaved people who could play the banjo. Because prior to coming, they were from cultures that had this type of instrument that is called the ngoni. So since they didn't have any instruments on the slave ships, when they could, here in America, they made new instruments. They came to be known as the banjo or the guitar. It's a very nice instrument. All right, guys, you guys are such a great...
An African proverb with you all. Please do everything I do and repeat after me. Everyone say peace.
Peace.
Love.
Love.
Respect.
Respect.
For everyone.
For everyone.
The only time you look down on someone is when you are leaning over to pick them up.
To pick them
All
up.
right, word is bond, yeah. Okay, the sister church and the bye-bye, I mean the goodbye teachers. Y'all want to sing it for everyone? Goodbye. Come on. everything else.
Thank you
Continue
so
your
much.
study of Black History Month. Remember that Carter G. Woodson is the person who founded Black History Month in 1926. The organization that he started, Asala, is still alive and kicking. It's been around since 1926. Join in. Help us celebrate the history and the culture of African Americans and join your local chapter of Asala. I'm out. Hold up.
Thank you. God bless you.
Okay, guys, so thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed. How do we say to Mr. Don and Ms. Tutu? And just as a token of our appreciation, we have a certificate.
Whoa!
And Mr. Don, and I would like Dr. Brown to come and read it out to us.
Oh, incredible. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, it says, for your time and dedication in bringing us such a beautiful program that will greatly enrich in culture and in education our students and families. On behalf of all our students, faculty, families, and staff, thank you.
Yeah! This is my man right here. Hey, man, guys.
Yeah, you can take it. Just take that one now.
This is it right here. He's modeling how to be a man right here.
Yeah, you don't need to
Right
let
here. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.